Thank you for downloading this edition of the Y Factor from the BBC World Service, the programme that seeks to explain why we do the things we do. This week, Phoebe Smith asks why we love camping.
I love fishing. To see what a fish it is and to taste.
Meet 9-year-old Villas. Villas lives in a tepee on the banks of a remote fjord in Greenland, surrounded by waterfalls and mountains. He's an expert at catching fish, not with a fishing rod or net, but with his bare hands. Until he was 7, he was like any other kid, glued to his iPad and barely outside, living in the country's capital city of Nuuk. But now he's a mini hunter-gatherer, living like our ancestors once did, and many nomadic tribes still do, in a movable tent. He is the product of an unusual love story between Anika and John Crow, who got to know each other back in the 90s while on a hunting trip with friends.
I was fresh out of army, sergeant and all, an alpha male, and very confident and walking in front with my rifle. And she was behind me, this beautiful city girl. I've only seen high heels and, we went up on a hill and then we saw this big bunch of reindeer, and I remember we were laying down there and on the count 1, 2, 3, we shot 2 big animals, and all excited and all went down there, and she just flipped it around, started cutting it up. Male parts first, real efficiency with a big grin. I was completely blown away, I'm telling you. So when we got home there was dinner at her mother's house, and I remember standing up and saying, I'm gonna marry that woman one day. Ha ha ha.
And everybody was laughing,
yeah.
Especially my mom.
Yeah.
She's like, never, ever.
Never, ever. And behold, 10 years later, 11 years later, I married her.
Yeah.
For years after getting married, the pair embraced a conventional lifestyle, working for good money. But one day, they decided to turn their backs on city life to become full-time tent dwellers in their remote Camp Gitua every summer. For Anika and her family in Greenland, it's about passing on their ability to live off the land to her children, vital for the survival of her Inuit heritage, and spending time together as a family.
We both had high-end jobs. We had good salaries and what a lot of people would consider as a good life. So we went on this vacation, and it was the first vacation we had for years. And during that vacation, we just realized that the way that we're wasting our lives is not for us. So a few months later, we decided to take our kids out of school, quit our jobs, and then we just went out traveling for 7 months. We went hiking and homeschooled and just enjoyed the time together. Then it was just easy to continue that life. So since we didn't have a home anyway, we decided just to go into our camp and just live here all summer. It wasn't a difficult choice.
My name's Phoebe Smith. I'm a camper too. In fact, I'm what you'd probably call a professional wild camper. I'm not talking motorhomes or log cabins with all the mod cons. I mean camping, in the wild, whenever and wherever I can. In a ditch, in a sleeping bag, in a hammock, in a tree, or sometimes in a tent suspended from a cliff. I've camped in the Arctic, the Australian outback, and many places in between. For me, it's a passion, a compulsion, a necessity. But it's not for everyone. And some people, including my 70-year-old dad, think the whole idea is just plain crazy. Which is why I've decided to take you and him on a Y Factor journey to find out just what it is that makes people leave the comfort of their own homes to go outside and camp. Can you stop paddling for a sec?
Yeah.
Just don't want us to have a collision course with the tree. Are you feeling serene yet?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, paddle. Do we end up turning? I'm paddling with you to turn us right. Okay, stop paddling for a sec because we're going to collide. Can you back paddle? This is me and my dad, kayaking. or at least trying to, in England, on the River Thames in a borrowed canoe. Our course is set for an uninhabited island where I'm taking him to hopefully enjoy his first ever wild camp, just me and him. Okay, Dad, here we are on the island.
Wow.
We've done the hard bit, lifting the canoe out.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's brilliant. Really is. Better than I expected.
What did you think of the canoe trip to get here?
Well, after the zigzag to start off with, it got better. Yeah. And it was interesting the fact that we went near a lock and a weir and successfully managed to navigate those. And it's a beautiful evening as well. Yeah. I'm being won over, I think.
I just hope it doesn't rain.
Modern urban life is increasingly dense. There's just a lot of people doing a lot of things almost 24/7. And the noise of modern life can be very disruptive to us.
Orfeo Buxton is Professor of Biobehavioral Health at Pennsylvania State University in the United States and Editor-in-Chief of the journal Sleep. He knows more than most about what drives us to venture into the wild for a night under the stars.
In addition, a lot of the cacophony in urban life are electronic or device-emitted noises. So everything from ambulance sirens to phone notifications, they're just going off all around us. And they're designed to steal our attention. And camping gets us away from that type of lifestyle.
So due to some construction works, this is the sound outside my house.
This is the blogger and photographer known as the Kenyan Camper, or KC. He's in Nairobi, the capital and largest city in Kenya. He's about to embark on his very latest adventure in a bid to escape its busy urban sprawl.
One of Kenya's major highways has been diverted to right outside our gate. And it's pretty noisy in the morning. Lots of touting, lots of traffic, lots of trucks. So this I'm not going to miss. Thank goodness for camping.
It's not just about escaping interruptions while we're awake, but also when we're asleep too. And as we know, a good night's sleep is vital for both our physical and mental health. And according to Professor Buxton, it's the rhythmic sounds of nature that help us achieve just that.
When we sleep, things that keep us awake or disrupt our sleep are generally called threats. They invoke brain systems for threat vigilance. We're mammals, after all. We're not computers. We don't just shut off and sleep. These stressors or threats can be stressful thoughts or pinging notifications on your phone overnight. All those engage this threat vigilance detection centers in our brain. So we like to cover up or partially mask these potentially disruptive sounds. In a city, fans or white noise machines are typical ways. But when you're camping, they're the natural non-threatening sounds like rain or wind through the leaves. Those are really pleasant outdoor camping sounds. And we also come to associate them with a peaceful environment, which reduces our stress.
It makes for a relaxing experience.
I think it's an association, a pleasant association of being someplace lovely. The wind or rain in trees also means you're in a forest. You're not in a building. You're enjoying nature. You've probably been outside. You've probably had a chance to step away from stressors. All of those things make for a very pleasant association of that noise. It's almost like a natural lullaby. Getting unplugged from work and stress is so important for mental and physical health. It's amazing to me, and camping is a great way to do that.
Casey has finally arrived at Nakuru National Park, 160 kilometres and a 3-hour drive from his home in Nairobi. And what a difference! Bedding down for a night in the wild, he's at peace and completely alone. Or so he thought.
It is about 9 o'clock and I am just getting ready for bed. So I'm just getting into the tent. And hopefully I get a good night's sleep. It's still slightly drizzling, but this tent is awesome. The tent that I currently have. I've had this for about maybe 3 years. It doesn't let in even one drop of rain. So it's quite cozy in here. All I have to do is just wrap myself in some layers and look forward to a good night's rest. I am so lucky. About 10 meters from me is a female white rhino and her calf. And they're just browsing in the grass, and they are so close that I can actually hear them chewing. This is what I came here for. As I speak, they're actually moving closer towards me. And I think this feeling is what it's all about. These are the experiences that camping allows me to have. I'm looking at one of the most endangered species in the world. And right now it's just me and them. I'm just going to sit here for a minute and just watch them. To have these animals within the most natural of settings it's just out of this world.
Of course, not all of us who go camping have the opportunity to encounter wild rhinos, but there's more to camping than that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Matt White. I'm an environmental psychologist at the University of Exeter.
Dr. White and his colleagues did a study involving 20,000 people in England to examine the impact of exposure to the natural environment on their health, happiness and mental well-being. And while it didn't include the undoubtedly beneficial effect of encounters with wild rhinos, they did find that people were happier and healthier if they spent at least 2 hours a week in nature.
Most of us, 80% in England, live in very urban areas now, which are noisy, busy, and put many demands on our cognitive and emotional abilities. And getting away from those, being back to nature, if you like, is more consistent with the evolutionary history and therefore puts fewer demands on us. So it can help us unwind. People tend to do at least some form of exercise, even if it's walking. And we know that exercise, especially in natural environments, is good for physiological and mental health.
Dr. White's study also found there's a huge social element to getting out into the wild too. It's about connection, without the distractions of modern-day life, something I shared with my dad when we camped on an island on the River Thames.
I bet the biggest positive for him is having spent quality time with his daughter. And what we find over and over again, that's actually the quality time you spend with your friends and family that's crucial in these experiences.
So first things first, we've got to get the camp ready. Right. So the first thing we want to do is get our sleeping stuff. Sleeping in the wild may be a brand new experience for my dad, but it's something we've actually been doing for centuries. Humans started off as nomads, moving their homes to follow the food and seasons. We were outdoor mammals, so it's no wonder that there's a real sense of getting back to our roots when we sleep outside, being close to wildlife, watching the stars come out and seeing the sunrise.
Hot chocolate?
Oh, thank you. Double marshmallows between 2 dark chocolate digestive biscuits, followed by drinking chocolate.
Doesn't get better than this. I wanted you to see that you don't actually have to go very far
No?
to feel like a world away.
This is it. All we can hear is the campfire going. We can hear some birds, some of the insects, and the wind in the tree leaves.
Yeah, yeah. And where else would you have beetles crawling across your tablecloth? No, it's an eye-opener, definitely.
Do you think you understand more why I do it?
Yeah. Yes,
especially
I do.
knowing how busy my life is when I'm not camping out.
Yeah.
Does it make more sense why I do it?
Yeah, it must be, like therapy.
Yeah, probably. I disconnect from everything to reconnect with actually everything that's important.
Yeah.
And then I sleep better and nothing seems so stressful, and all it took was a hour's canoe and setting up a hammock between two trees.
I'm feeling energised.
And if you turn off your head torch as well, you can be lit up by the light of the moon.
If I can do that, I'll probably turn.
Unlike Anika and John in Greenland, who we heard from at the beginning of our journey, I wasn't brave enough to spend an entire summer camping with my dad. But the chance to reconnect with him, outside the usual routine, seemed a great opportunity to me. And as night fell, I think he finally started to realise that perhaps my passion for wild camping wasn't quite as crazy as he first thought. Okay, so getting in a hammock, you sit in it as if you're in a chair, which is very comfortable, and then you swing round.
Oh wow, it covers you up as well.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, that's brilliant.
Do you want to try getting in it?
Yeah, I like a challenge. Hey, I'm in. Whoa, this is brilliant. Now then, how do I get out?
You're not getting out.
Oh, right.
You're just in the way.
This is where I am now, is it?
Yeah. Not long after that, he started yawning. We fell asleep quite early that night as our body clocks adjusted to the natural light.
The circadian clock is an internal clock. And so in our brain, we have a specific part of our brain that tells us what biological time of day it is. And that time of day helps us adapt to preparing for example, being alert and awake during the daytime and sleeping at night. And the key thing here is it helps prepare us. It's not just responding to changes, it's preparing us for that waking day or preparing us for that sleep at night.
Professor Ken Wright is from the University of Colorado in the United States. He directs a sleep lab and says resetting our circadian clocks is one of the plus points of a night spent outdoors.
And so one of the things that is a concern in modern society is the fact that many people don't get enough sleep. And they're also awake in the morning and they're very sleepy at that time. And that combination of not getting enough sleep and being awake in the morning when your clock is telling you should be sleeping still makes it difficult for us to perform at our best, whether we be in school or at work.
With people staying up later, looking at the blue screens on modern devices, and surrounded by the glow of artificial light, that internal clock gets disorientated, meaning we tend to go to bed late and wake up feeling groggy. Professor Wright's studies have found that a weekend camping trip can completely readjust your body clock.
When we go ahead and remove ourselves from that and go camping, and all we're exposed to is natural daylight and campfires and starlight at night, that actually synchronizes our clock with that natural light hour cycle. And so our clock is timed earlier, and so if we kind of lived more in sync with our natural environment, we'd actually be more alert in the morning.
Speaking of morning, one of the best bits about camping for me is waking up the next day before anyone else, thanks to the light from the sun rousing us well before any alarm clock.
Morning. Oh look, we've got some ducks bathing over there, Dad. Where? To your left.
Oh yeah.
All bathing in the water, having their shower.
We may have been treated to swans, ducks and owls, but as the sun rises in Kenya, KC has a much more impressive list of species to share.
It is early morning and my last morning in the park after an amazing 2 days, 2 nights here. I had a really good night's rest, so I'm just sitting here having my first cup of coffee. It's really quiet. I'm the only person in the campsite. So the birds are just waking up, and there's the sound of the river and the waterfall. But it's very peaceful. It's been quite a great trip, I must say. I can't believe just how much wildlife I've managed to see in the few game drives that I've taken in the short time I've been here. I had a fantastic morning with the rhinos. I saw about 20 rhinos. I've seen giraffe, I've seen impala, I saw Grant's gazelles, I saw waterbucks, I saw colobus monkeys, I've seen vervet monkeys, I've seen baboons, I've seen jackals, I've seen warthogs, I've seen zebras, and there are some which I'm sure I'm still forgetting.
For him and for me, camping is about freedom, escape and perspective. The perspective which tells you the world is a wondrous and huge place, filled with an abundance of wildlife, and you are but a tiny part of a much bigger picture. It helps us realise that the best things in life aren't things at all.
In about half an hour, I'll have packed up all my stuff and I'll be ready to hit the road. 30 minutes away is a town with a population of about 300,000 people. And 5 minutes from that is one of the busiest highways in Kenya. That's going to take me home to a city with a population of 4 million people. But right now, in this moment, I can almost believe that I'm the only person in the world. So, this is why I camp. I'm just going to sit here, finish up my cup of coffee,